Hello, everyone. I am Lisa Scoderi, and I am the chair of the Texas chapter of Women in Manufacturing. We'll get into what that is in just a little bit. We have a really exciting event for you today. We have the Creativity of Science with the wonderful Carlin Ray. Really excited to have this event with everyone. I think it's going to be a lot of fun and a really cool event. So really grateful for Carlin and her team for joining us and supporting not just this cause, but women in manufacturing as well. Um, so I'm gonna go ahead and move along. So a little bit about myself. I am a process safety specialist at BASF, which is a global chemical manufacturer. So basically my job is to help identify and mitigate risk for my company. And I, before this, was in various operations roles in chemical manufacturing. All right. So for today's agenda, we're going to go in and we'll just do some quick introductions with everyone. I'll introduce WIM Texas, and then we have an introduction for Carlin Ray. And then we have a really cool glass blowing demo, which should be really exciting. And we'll switch to live at the studio, which is going to be so much fun. Then we have some time for question and answers from our audience, and we'll exit with some closing remarks, and we'll send you on your way and with information on how to learn more about all the great stuff you learned today. All right. So, Women in Manufacturing is the only national trade association that's dedicated to providing year round support for women who've chosen a career in the manufacturing industry. Our mission is to promote, support, and inspire women who've chosen a career in the manufacturing industry. And we work to empower women workers and strengthen the manufacturing sector. Our membership is over 10,000 members, not just in the US, but across 35 different countries from over 2,000 companies, over 10,000 different members. And one of the really cool things about women in manufacturing is that it's open and inclusive to everyone. If you believe women deserve an equal place in the workforce, then you're welcome at WIM. So we have everyone from the shop floor, from operators to maintenance employees, all the way up to your C-suite employees, an incredible breadth of really amazing and talented individuals. We also have a number of local chapters, just like Women in Manufacturing Texas, to provide regional support. So we do offer membership for students and above. Student membership is very inexpensive and offers a ton of great opportunities. Why would you join WIM? There's a lot of great networking opportunities. There's development opportunities. It's a really inclusive organization, as I mentioned, and just an amazingly supportive community. So it's a really great organization. We do have a number of great events that we put on, both nationally and as a chapter throughout the year, various developmental opportunities and opportunities to network and get to know more about the industry and about your peers in the industry and learn more about manufacturing altogether. So if you want to learn more about women in manufacturing, you can check out our website at www.womeninmanufacturing.org, or you can follow us on social media on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. And we have a little QR code will take you to our WIM Texas page. Will be a central hub to get you to all of that great information. All right, so we are going to move right along to our awesome guest speaker today is the fabulous Carlin Ray, who is the owner and artist of Carlin Ray Designs, as well as the Dallas Glass Art Studio, which is really cool. In addition to being a member of a really amazing organization to support and inspire future generations in STEM art reaching out. We have some really cool videos here to tell you a little bit about Carlin and her organization.
Hello, my name is Carlin Ray, and I'm with Art Reaching Out, and currently we are at Dallas Glass Art Studio, where they make beautiful glass art, which we will show you just in a little bit. So just to tell you a little bit about how we got into glass blowing and why we are so passionate to share it with you. I saw glass blowing when I was 8 years old. I fell in love with it. There was a bunch of men blowing glass then, as that has recently changed. As you can see, I will be blowing glass later. And I followed my dream. I really was attracted to the dance, the athletic movements, the physical building of it, and how it encapsulated your mind and thought process. And all of those together is what makes it interesting to me. And so I actually was really into athletics and art when I was in high school. And I received a full volleyball scholarship to the College of WiM, where I majored in art, but I also studied different subjects that I thought could help me pursue my artistic career. And then I studied and I apprenticed under different glass masters, actually all around the world. And it enabled me to travel to different countries and study different techniques as they teach Italian and Czech glass blowing. And I kind of combine all of those together, and I love sharing those techniques, that history, and how it can really change your world, as glass is everywhere. We are in the age of glass. If you look at the Dallas skyline, it is made of glass. When you drive your car, when you drink your water, glass is everywhere, and glass will be everywhere in your future. So it's fun to understand the material more. So I'm excited to introduce you to another member of Art Reaching Out, Kyle Hieronymus. Kyle?
Hi, my name's Kyle, and I'm an engineer with Art Reaching Out. I was originally introduced to glass blowing while I was in engineering school, studying mechanical engineering. And glass blowing really captured my imagination because I got to see all of the principles that I was learning about engineering come to life. Material science, chemistry, heat transfer. I saw all of it happening real time with glass blowing, which really excited me. Of course, with Art Reaching Out, we work with art glass, but there's so many other ways to use glass as a career and in our world, whether it's glass in a chandelier and lighting, or glass on your windows, or glass on the Gorilla Glass engineered glass on your phone. We see glass everywhere, and there's really exciting careers in glass, whether you want to be an artist, or you want to be an engineer, or a scientist, or even in construction and trades. There's so many opportunities to work with glass.
All right, enough talk about glass. Let's go see how it's made. So let's go into what we call the hot shop.
All right, and one more. Cool glass blowing demo.
Hello, my name is Carlin Ray, and welcome to Art Reaching Out. Today we are at Dallas Glass Art in the Design District, and we're going to be demonstrating a wave vase for you today out of blown glass. So to start, we're going to choose our colors. In the wave vase, we're going to do blue on the bottom and white on the top, like a cresting wave. So I'm going to choose iris blue, it's a special blue, and opaline, which is a transparent, nice, light white. Safety glasses first. You only have 2 eyeballs. So putting these on, I'm going to grab from our pipe warmer a hollow stainless steel pipe. So this is a stainless steel pipe, a very poor conductor of heat. You can see heat usually only travels up to about here. If it were a copper pipe, it would be hot all the way through. So this allows us to carry the pipe. I'm going to go into the 2100 degree furnace. This has clear molten glass in here. And at 2100 degrees, it has a consistency of honey. So you can see we're always turning just to keep that glass on the pipe. Now the way we get glass into the furnace is by crushed up glass called cullet. So we shovel a bunch of cullet into the glass, and we actually melt it at 2300 degrees until it's crystal clear. We use clear glass in here to allow us to color the vases in our production any color that we need. We're going to go to the pipe cooler to cool down this pipe. And you can see when the cold water hits the hot pipe, turns to steam, and that just allows me to choke up a little bit higher. Now I'm going to cool, center, and shape the glass on what we call a marver. It's a metal table. And I'm pulling the glass off of towards the end of the rod to allow me to set up a bubble into the glass. Now, if I were to touch this metal, it now would be very warm. And that's because of conduction. Conduction is when a hot material like glass touches the surface of the metal and heats it up. So now it's a fun part, starting to blow the glass. I'm going to put a breath of air inside the back of this pipe, cap it with my thumb. That creates pressure, and the heat of the glass expands the air, and it will appear as a bubble. So slowly watch for the bubble to slowly emerge. Right now it's starting to grow into the hot glass. Again, I pressurized the pipe. There we go. And now we have a perfect bubble. This is our starting point. About 90% of blown glass that you see starts just this way. Now what I love about glass is it's a team process. And assisting me today is Alex. Alex is going to be helping me. So to set up for the next steps, I'm going to put this sleeve on my arm. This is protecting my arm from the heat. We work with heat in a lot of different ways here, and we try to protect ourselves as much as possible. So in the next layer of glass, again 2100 degree glass, there's a lot of heat coming off of it, and that's called infrared electromagnetic radiation. So that form of waves of heat will really get my arm hot to where I need to shield it. And we're going to go back in for another dip. So to give you an idea, this is the same temperature as a volcano. Very hot. And the glass is a perfect viscosity at this temperature. Again, cooling it down, a lot of people say, well, how much does that weigh? Well, mathematically and in generalized terms, for every foot your hand is away from the glass, the weight of the glass doubles. So from back here, it's very heavy. That's why we cool the pipe so that I can choke up a little higher. So this is when I start adding the color. So I'm adding some crushed up colored glass. This is what we call frit, F-R-I-T, using that opaline at the top and heating it into our reheating furnace. So all of our equipment here uses natural gas. This is natural gas and air flowing around, what's called convection, to heat up that crushed up colored glass and melt it in. So between heats, I'm able to gather more color. Again, it sticks to the outside like sprinkles on an ice cream cone so that you can only get so much at one time. If you want to have a denser color, you need to roll into it several times. And I want this to be fairly dense, so I'm going to roll into the white twice and the blue twice. So the next steps I have are to be shaping the glass and starting to inflate it. And I'm going to do that on the metal table. So I'm melting the color in right now, but I'm also heating it back up to get it to the consistency, which is malleable, and I'm able to form it and inflate it. Glass is easy to blow if it's hot enough. As you can try, if you try to blow up a glass Coke bottle, you obviously can't blow it up at all. Glass only starts moving at 1100 degrees, so the glass has to be very warm to be able to start to inflate the glass. All right, starting to blow. going to be cooling the tip off. The tip is going to end up to be the bottom of the vase. So you always want the bottom to have a little weight to it. All right, I'm going to go into the furnace for a little heat now. And the next step is to put a constriction line in. So we need to, at some point, remove the glass from this pipe and transfer it onto another rod. And to do that, we need to make a stress point in the glass. So we're going to do that with these two blades. So this is when the heat from the glass is coming up in the infrared electromagnetic waves. And this shield, this sleeve is helping. So using those jacks to create a nice constriction line. Using a newspaper pad to cool and start to shape the glass. All right, so now I'm going to go in and heat the middle of the sphere down and use gravity to help me create this vase shape. So a lot of times we're using gravity and centrifugal force to help us create our pieces. And you can see where the heat is in this piece. It's the part of the vase that is moving, and also that rosy color. So using gravity to really create that vase shape. And now Alex is going to grab a little bit of glass. And he now has a solid stainless steel rod. We're going to add a wrap onto this piece. So this shows you the different properties of glass. This is kind of showing you how glass acts as fiber optics and how it can stretch, and every little wrap will catch the light in a really beautiful way. There we go. Perfect. Now I'm going to add a little bit of glass onto the bottom of this vase. This is what we call a punty patch. So Alex is going to grab a little bit of glass on the end of this rod, and we're going to stick it onto the bottom. This just gives us a nice clean surface to attach to. But, thank you. All right. And the next move is actually going to be to transfer the rod, transfer this piece onto a different rod. So Alex again has a solid rod going into the furnace, gathering a little bit of glass, and this little bit of glass is going to be called a punty. Now this rod is a little bigger. This is what we call a counterweight. It has a small end to it. And he's going to shape it up into a particular way. It's very important that he is the perfect temperature, and I too am the perfect temperature. If it's too cold, it won't stick. If it's too hot, it'll actually fuse together. So I'm just going in for a really quick flash. We're going to stick this rod onto the bottom of the piece. Making sure it's nice and center. Gonna make sure that this stress line isn't too cold yet. All right, a little bit of water to weaken that stress line. Little tap. All right, so we're just going to now heat the top part of that up. So that was the coldest the glass will ever be. So we have to heat it up for a good bit for the glass to be hot enough to be able to shape and change the form of it. So where it broke off, it was sharp. So this is what we also call fire polishing, using the heat from the hole to fire polish that sharp edge. All right, I can tell it's getting hotter now. It's really moving. So I'm going to go in with those same blades that I used to create the constriction line. And just have an upward movement. I'm okay. And I'm going to do that one more time. Alex, can you get some of that newsprint on the back? Yep. All right, so using the blades. Okay, so now this is going to be our last heat. We're going to use centrifugal force to change the shape of this vase. So as the glass gets hot, we are going to start spinning really quickly, stretch the material, and watch how it creates a beautiful, fluid vase. Alex, if you want to be ready to catch it. You can see, still warm, still being shaped by gravity and centrifugal force. So real quick, we're going to put it into the oven in a reducing atmosphere, meaning, hold on, we're going to take all of the air out. Yep. Taking all of the air out, which removes all the oxides from the metal oxides, leaving only a nice coat of metal on the outside. Alex closes the doors of the hole, and I'm going to put a little bit of water onto the bottom of this. Adding water, and just with a little tap here, Alex is going to grab it with both hands. You're questioning how warm this is. You can see that it is truly still fiery hot. So we're going to quickly fire polish the bottom. Just fire polishing that. Then that's going to go into our oven, which is at 900 degrees. It'll cool the glass down slowly, hitting all the stress points. And that's how we make a wave vase. Good job, Alex.
Wow, that was amazing. So cool. Such a amazing thing to see every time I see it. All right, we are going to transfer over to Carlin, who is over live at the studio for more fun. Passing it back to you, Carlin.
Thank you. Welcome to the studio. I hope you enjoyed that demonstration. We're excited to share some things with you today. I have some of my teammates here. I'm going to have them introduce themselves, and we're going to start with a little bit of science.
Hi, my name is Heather Spiewak. I've been blowing glass for about 15 years. I'm a glass art specialist here at Carlin Ray Designs, and I'm excited to share some science of glass with you.
I'm G. Brian. I've been making glass for about 20 years, a little over. I'm the head of art glass production here at CRD, and today I'm also cameraman. We're going to start with Heather gathering up a little bit of glass, and she's going to dip it onto the marble. So again, our furnaces are 2100 degrees Fahrenheit, 2100 degrees. Our glass is a mixture of silica sand, soda ash, and limestone. Now what we're going to do is show everybody a little bit of tension and compression. When we were finished with the video, we put that beautiful vase into an annealer. And what the annealer does is it cools the glass down slowly so that the glass doesn't crack and break. You can see it whipping around there. Now what happens is glass is under a lot of strain, a lot of stress. And if you don't remove that strain and stress, well, at the end of the day, literally the glass just shatters, it breaks. This little tail test, if you will, shows us how compression and tension affect the glass. So as the glasses hit the metal table, it cools down very quickly. The hot glass on top cools slowly, creating tension. And you can see that little tail lifting up in the air. That little tail is caused because of all the strain and the stress, the fragility of the glass. Now, some of you are probably familiar with a Prince Rupert's drop. You may have seen the videos on YouTube and how the glass is under a lot of strain and stress. That's what we have on the corner here. Carlin can show you one of these Prince Rupert's drops. That's been, now you see how delicate she is with it. She backs right away. These things are loaded with strain and stress. So we're going to make one for you today. So to create strain and stress in the glass, we're going to literally drip some glass into that bucket of cold water. Now, if you keep your eye on the molten glass, you can see how it's dimming very quickly. What you may not be able to see, yeah, you can see it. If you look closely, you can see bubbles, a bubble that's forming right in the middle of the glass. Heather's going to show us a close-up. Yep, there we go. You can see the bubble right in the middle. So again, we were talking about compression and tension. Compression squeezing the glass, tension pulling away from the glass. And that bubble is created by the tension, the little bit of air pulling to the cold core. When we drip it into the water, we get that cold exterior surface. Well, the hot glass pulls to that cold. And what it does is it creates a tremendous amount of energy. This little droplet, while very strong, is also very weak. In fact, it's so strong, we can hit it with a hammer. When we look at a little piece of glass, we might think that it's quite fragile, right? It's a piece of glass. It's fragile. How strong could it be? Heather's got a hammer. This isn't a good idea. She's hitting it. I don't know if you can see on the table, but it's actually left a few little dents on the table. The cold glass dented that metal. Pretty remarkable. Now, the thing about this glass is that it's very strong. That compression, making it strong, the tension, making it weak. And so what she's going to do is actually break this. The weak spot is the tail. When you shatter that, and you just snap that little tail, we've all just put on our safety glasses. That strong piece of glass is going to release all of that energy that was created. Whoa, did you hear that? Oh. There you go. You can see, look at that. All of that energy released into the glass. Now, again, this is the importance of strengthening glass in a mechanical way. What we want to do is we want to create just the right amount of strain and stress in glass. Today's manufacturing, like Carlin was saying, we use glass every day. We are in the age of glass. Scientists and chemists are using that knowledge of strength and compression to make everyday products. An everyday product that we also mentioned, optical fiber. Look how we stretch that right out. You can see how it's pulling right off of there. Heather is, wow, look at, she's actually able to, oh, there she goes out of the camera view. She's stretching and pulling that glass. Now, optical fiber, well, it's not made exactly like this. It's the same idea. We've got glass that's pulled to the thickness of a human hair. It's flexible. And it allows light to travel through it. The remarkable thing about glass, we use it to educate our everyday decisions. Information, data, all travels through glass, and we use glass every day. Engineers, chemists, and scientists work together hand in hand to create these products. Now, what we're going to do now is we're going to go show you some of the things that Carlin makes in her studio. So we're going to give you a little walk through the studio here. Ooh, lights. There's Paige.
All right, so one of the things that we make here at Carlin Ray Designs are chandeliers. Everyone loves a beautiful, bright, glistening, sparkly chandelier. And the way we do that is having light travel through glass, kind of similar to the fiber optics. So you can see the light is in each of these, what we call tubes and caps. Now we customize these. We take them to, they CNC these. So they screw off. This is where the socket goes. The light bulb goes right in here. And then the glass sits right here and comes right out. All of the canopies you see at the top, we customize those to the table shape and size of our clients. And then we take them to the water jet, they cut them, and then we actually do all the electrical components up inside that canopy. So everything is customized, from the metal to the electricity. All of the watts of all the lamps in each of the tubes and caps have to be added up. And then we have a driver, because I'm sure you know in electricity, high voltage goes down to low voltage, which is how we illuminate these, is with LEDs. So we have an example here of the tube and cap and the light. Now in this one, this is a special one. This has gold leaf. So as you know, as light goes through anything, it is reflected on anything in its pathway. So in this case, it is reflected on the gold leaf. And you can see as I lift it up, how much light actually goes down. So that is all colored gold leaf that we roll up inside the glass. Now a little look at our wires. As you know, to make a circuit, you need a positive and negative. So this is all built into this one wire. So we usually have this interior one be a positive, it is coated. And then the sleeve, the overbraid here is our negative, and it allows a really nice connection of electricity as well as a structural support for each of our glass pieces. So there are a lot of steps that go into making a custom glass chandelier. Let's look over here of another light product that we have outside. This is what I've named the cosmic spires, and they're one of my favorites. So you can change the color of them with this little dial. This is called RGBW, and it's actually called RGBW CCT because you can change the white to be warm Kelvin and cool Kelvin. These are all terms that we use in the lighting industry. And it really allows someone to really illuminate the outside. So Heather, why don't you tell us how we actually make this glass?
All right, so it's pretty similar to how you saw us stretch out glass in the hot shop, how Carlin started her piece and our demo. We have a center gather here, that has been coated in baking soda. When you go back into the furnace and gather more glass on top of that, that baking soda gases off and we get this beautiful veil of bubbles. Alongside of our optical fiber demo, these are lit up thanks to total internal reflection. So the light can't just escape. It is reflecting off of the bubbles and showing us all the different layers in the glass. You can see down here, we can also put these outside. So we've got our plants. They are fully waterproof, so they can really light up any environment.
Awesome. I like how they changed so many different colors. Even a few years ago, you couldn't do this. But with today's technology and lighting, so many things. I can't wait to see what's next. What do they come up with next?
So we were allowed to do this, as G was saying, because the lamps became available outdoors, outdoor rated. We're also working with a different type of technology in the hot shop. So let's go back into the studio and let me show you a new product we're working on.
Shop dog.
So Heather, why don't you turn this on for us? This is a new product. With technology, we can incorporate light and glass together. So as I know what is going to be available technology-wise, then I can make something around it. So right now, we just have these diodes, single diodes that are available. And what we do is I embedded them into the glass so that each piece looks like they can actually glow. So you can see there's a positive and negative, which creates that circuit. They're also used to hang the glass. And we're looking at the different colors of the wires. How can we put metal leaf and silver leaf and gild it differently to hide that diode to really allow the light to transfer around the glass? So how can our team make new and novel designs? It's with working with cutting edge technology side by side so we can offer something that no one else has. So understanding technology, understanding the electronics, the engineering allows us to create something different than anyone else and allows us the flexibility to really create with our material.
One of the awesome things for me is once we make the work in the shop, we're still not done. In some ways, we've only just begun. There's so many different processes that have to happen to make our artwork for the world. So from mocking it up, testing it, taking the glass out of the shop, we also, you can see everything back here is in a state of what we call cold working. Everything needs to be not only worked hot at the furnace in the hot shop, but also worked in the cold shop, cutting, polishing, all those edges for the glassicles all get cut and polished. Heather's standing in the cold shop now. We have lots of different machines that use silicon carbide, that use diamonds. Now these are industrial diamonds, while your rings, actually you can see it right on the blade, diamond. While your rings like on your finger are diamonds, so are these. These are industrial diamonds. They're often embedded into the metal in a process we call sintering, or they're electroplated onto the edge. So this actually has diamonds electroplated onto the core bits, or on this flat lap, it's sintered. The material is actually made metal and diamonds put together. Now this helps us cut, grind, and polish all of the different work to be ready. So there's lots of different processes, lots of engineering, art, technology working together. These pieces are mocked up, they're hanging. How are we going to hang them? How are you going to hang them? How are we going to display them? How are we going to light them? Which one's your favorite? Awesome.
All right, so that's a little tour of our studio. We would like to open up the floor and have you guys ask us some questions. So G's going to set us up here.
Question and answer time.
All
Okay.
right. Well, we have some questions that have come in. I think the first one is, how did you guys learn to do all that?
Well, as I said in the intro, I saw it when I was a kid. I was 8 years old. And I decided, instead of going to university to learn, I decided to really learn as an apprenticeship and learn under different masters. I actually met G. Bryan when I worked for the Corning Museum of Glass. So they both moved down here from Corning, New York, where there's a huge museum there that loves to share the technology of glass. And I used to work on a cruise ship where we would share the knowledge and process of glass blowing to viewers like you, so that it would really change their world. So that's where I met G, and Heather moved down there from Corning Museum as well. Heather, how did you get into glass blowing?
Yeah, I did it. I think typically how the younger generation is finding it. I found it at Illinois State University. I just fell in love with it. I've stayed with it ever since. That's pretty much my story. How about you, G?
I love glass blowing too. Yeah, there was
That
a
was great.
small art studio in Pontiac, Michigan, in Detroit, Michigan, where I'm from. And I took a class there and really fell in love with it. There was a neat art gallery called Habitat that was literally kind of like right around the back. So I wandered in there and really just was blown away by what could be done with glass on an artistic scale. And kind of always having that artistic bug, it just followed me around, and I've been able to have a very successful journey. So.
Very cool. Awesome. Thank you, guys. All right. We have a bunch of questions. So is the blowing of glass a chemical or a physical change?
I believe it's a physical change. Yep, it goes from one temperature to the other. Glass is just such a funny material. When it's hot, it's runny. When it's cold, it's hard. And we use that to our advantage while we're working with the glass. So it is a physical change.
Do you have to be aware of the chemistry of the different chemicals that you use to coat the glass?
Yeah, we get different types of glass depending on the different ingredients that we use. And the different ingredients will give us harder glasses or softer glasses. For instance, an artist would use a softer glass like lead crystal. It has a higher quality. It's easier to shape when it's hot and cold. It's just really beautiful optical quality to it. On the other hand, you have scientists or designers using Gorilla Glass, which is a super hard glass. It's tempered chemically instead of thermally, like you saw us temper glass here with the Prince Rupert's drop. It's not tempered in the same way per se, but chemically, so they take out smaller ions and replace them with larger ions. That makes the surface of the glass super strong. And they use a little bit, but of course, the formula for Gorilla Glass is highly guarded, but they do use different ingredients to make it stronger.
Very cool. What has been your most challenging piece?
Most challenging piece. Well, it's really, that's the beauty of our team. So our team is, we have 15 people on our team, and everyone plays a different role. So as G said, he manages all our productions. Heather is an art glass specialist. She really handles the glass side. Kyle, who you met earlier, is our engineer. So he handles our strength and stress and engineering. So when we hung something at Baylor, it was 2,500 pounds.
Whoa.
40 feet by 40 feet. We created their logo.
Wow.
So that was a very technically pursued project, and everything had to be at the right angle and the right dimension so that their logo would read correctly. So that's difficult in and of itself, but it can be conquered because we have that engineering capabilities within our company. Sometimes it's really difficult if a client says, this is the color teal that I want exactly this color. Sometimes that can be almost as equally difficult as an engineering feat, just because, it takes a different type of process. So sometimes the smallest details can be just as difficult as the large ones, but that's why our team is so multifaceted. Everyone brings something here so that we can accomplish all the difficulties that arise.
Very cool. Can you adjust the brightness of the light for each of the chandeliers, and how do you do that?
So yes, as you know, just like a light bulb, if you see it like when you buy it at Home Depot, you can have a warm white and a cool white. That's what they say. So you can already buy a light bulb that's warm or cool. Now, if you want to go really technical, then you can adjust what we call the CCT, and you can have a little remote like we showed you, where you can adjust that, where you can make it a warmer or cooler white. But what I love is when you can adjust how bright it is. So I have all of my pieces on a dimmer so that people can have a lot of brightness, or if they want kind of a chill atmosphere, they'll take it down and it barely glows. And so having all of those adjustabilities within the electrical part of the chandeliers and all of our lighting is really important for me, because I want my clients and the end users to really be able to control their environment.
Awesome. What is the difference between glass and crystal?
That is a very, very common question that we get. Crystal glass is a lead-based glass, but crystal also happens naturally in nature, right? So we have obsidian and different crystals, very similar compounds, but glass is different. It's a non-crystalline structure, so chemically it is different than what you find in nature.
Very cool. Does the colored glass you create fade over time?
No, it does not. The colored glass is made using different metallic compounds. Once those compounds are in the glass, they're locked in there for good, unless you melt them out. So glass can really only go through changes when it's super heated. You could burn them out, but as it's cold, you're not going to lose any color or definition in it.
Does it take practice to be able to see what the colors are going to look like? When it's hot, the colors look so different than when it cools down.
Yeah, that definitely comes down to experience. And glass color is fairly expensive. So we're playing and experimenting. It takes a long time to learn the different colors, how they react with one another. If you have a glass with a lot of silver in it, it's going to react with a glass that has lead in it. There's just a lot of chemical reactions that you have to be aware of as you're working with the material. Carlin and I are working on a huge color catalog, which has been really exciting, getting to see all the different, how the glass layers, depending on if you put it transparent over opaque. There's the amount of different colors you can make is endless with the amount of colors that companies have created for us glass artists.
And they do look, like you said, they do look different when they're hot. So it's actually, we talk about electromagnetic spectrum of when there's a lot of energy into the color, into the metal oxides, they give off a different color than when they're down to the stable state. So it is a little challenging, especially for beginners. You put a piece away and it might look green, and then when it comes out, it's blue. Some people, it takes a little while to get used to, but you slowly start to understand maybe what, sometimes red is brown, yellow looks red.
Yep.
You kind of understand that, oh, that piece looks red, but it's actually going to be yellow when it's down. But you can't peek into the annealer when it's,
No cheating. That's cool. It's like a surprise. You're like, surprise, look how awesome it is. So what kind of skills do you feel you use or need most for glass blowing work?
Paying attention. Being
I could see that.
step of the way is extremely important. I think a lot of us gravitate towards glass because it does pull us into the present, and you have to be there 100% of the time. Yeah, that's probably the biggest thing, is being observant. Communication is really important in our fields. You don't want to be sneaking around the hot shop with glass.
No.
Bump into someone or something. So we always communicate, we're observant, have to pay attention, and a lot of muscle memory comes into it. So our hands, years and years of practice, just learning how to turn, learning how to gather without a big line in your gather, or there's little tiny things, little nuances that you have to master in order to get to the next step.
a lot of people say, oh, I'm not creative, so I don't think I'd be very good at glass, but it's really apparent when you start that it's a very process based.
You know, you go from one process to another. So sometimes we'll teach a lot of classes, and doctors are really great. They're good at using their hands, and they're good at understanding that now from this step, we go to this step, and we go to this step. So it's very, it calls to certain people, but a creative or a process-based person can equally thrive in the studio.
Cool. Um, so what makes some glass clear or colorless?
What makes some glass clear or colorless? The lack of metallic compounds. So throughout the ages, glass usually had a tint depending on where it was made, the region. For instance, Germany produced a lot of forest glass because the amount of iron in their glass, it appeared green, and since it came out of forest, it received that name. So over the years, the Italians are best known for coming up with crystal or cristallo, clear glass. They played around with the ingredients of their clear glass, ended up adding, I believe, manganese to it to counteract the iron and get a nice clear glass.
Very
A lot of
cool.
chemistry.
Very cool. Awesome. We do have a couple of women in manufacturing questions. I'm gonna just field one of those. Thank you all so much. It's been awesome. I have. So, how did y'all get your start in manufacturing? What drew you into this industry? So, I actually started, I really liked math and chemistry. It was fun. I enjoyed it. I wanted a job that was challenging, where I would be able to make a meaningful impact in the world. And I had talked to some chemists, and they hadn't felt like their work was challenging enough. So, I ended up in chemical engineering. And I joined BASF because it's a global chemical company, and I knew I would have tons of opportunities, and I absolutely have. It's been a really great, rewarding career. I've been able to impact a lot of people and make a lot of cool stuff. For instance, I worked in a plant where we make 50% of your can of paint. So if you ever bought a can of Behr paint or Kills primer, that probably came from Behr Premium Plus Ultra, the like fancy Behr. So half the can of paint, what makes paint is our latex that we make at our plants and BASF, which is really cool. So it's really cool to be a part of that whole thing and see it come together. All right. Well, that is, so it's been really fun. We've had so many cool people. I really appreciate everyone there at the studio joining us today. It's really been exciting and fun seeing everything come together. It's always awesome seeing glass blowing. I really appreciate you all taking the time. All right, so I'm gonna share my screen again. Just there we go. Okay, so thank you to everyone. Thank you so much, Carlin and your crew, for joining us today. It's been absolutely awesome. You've been fantastic. I hope everyone in the audience has learned, as I've learned a ton today. It's been really fun. So if you want to learn more about Carlin, do you want to talk through how they can learn more about what you do in your studio?
Absolutely. If you want to follow us and learn more about glass and our process and our manufacturing, please follow us on social media. We do have Facebook pages, but our Instagram, we sometimes host live videos, and I like to show the process of us putting together, say, chandeliers and even the templates and mock-ups that we do. So it's quite an interesting process, and I love sharing it with the public. So we do try to include that in our social media. And we have LinkedIn pages, but also if you're interested in coming to the studio and participating in one of Art Reaching Out's events, please contact and share our programs with your teacher, your teacher in your high school. And we have openings this summer to bring in groups of students to share the STEM or STEAM through art class, and have you participate and blow and make your own pieces and or create a group project together. So we do have a summer camp that's already filled up, but we have field trips available. So please share our programs with your, especially your science teachers. They eat this up. And every time a science teacher walks into the glass studio, they say, wow, you can teach everything through this material. So it's fun to share with teachers as well as students. So I hope you join us. I hope you follow us and stay in touch.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah, and we also have some bonus videos here. So we'll be sending out the presentation after this event. So you can check out some additional YouTube videos to learn more about Carlin and art reaching out. All right. So if you want to learn a bit more about women in manufacturing, you can check us out at www.womenmanufacturing.org or follow us on social media on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. And you can check out our Women in Manufacturing Texas chapter at www.womeninmanufacturing.org/Texas. And you can also see a number of our past events there if you're interested in learning more about what we do. We also do a lot of STEM outreach. So if you're interested in reaching out to our chapter for some support or learning more about manufacturing, by all means, please reach out. And we're happy to support future women and individuals in STEM as much as we can. And you can follow us on LinkedIn and Facebook, and you can join WiM with our affiliate code. So thank you so much, everyone. We really appreciate you all joining us today. I'm gonna stop the share. Off we go. Thank you so much, everybody. This has been great. Thank you, Carlin and company. Heather, G, you're awesome. It's fantastic. Mwah. Beautiful job. Thank you. See you.